Shalom, Israel. And when I mean Israel, I'm talking about the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. The Lord's 54th annual Passover is going down again this year, sundown, April 1st at 500 South Salisbury Street in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Downtown Conventional Center. It's got enough room for all of us. The Lord's 54th annual Passover. Last year, brothers and sisters showed up from all over the world, rocking ancient garments and glorious apparel in order to serve the Most High in Christ. Now, it's that time again. Commander General Yohana's putting out the decree for all brothers and sisters to show up sundown, April 1st in Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us at the Sheraton in Raleigh, the hotel right downtown. It's at 421 South Salisbury. The Passover is right up the block at the convention center, literally within walking distance. Make sure you pull up. Make sure that you do your due diligence because rooms are going fast and they are limited this weekend. You understand? We have months in advance of preparation. Do not wait till the last minute to get your room. The Lord's 54th annual Passover, Saturday, April 1st in Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us there.
It's about time, sending curses to them enemies.
Shalom. It's that time again, Israel. It's the Lord's 54th annual Passover in North Carolina.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh? You young niggas ain't tough. You young niggas ain't tough. You young niggas ain't tough enough. I don't think y'all really wanna fuck with us. I told you we no bitches. I'ma need for you to listen while I paint this perfect picture. We not Christians, watch your mouth. Have them angels in your house, and them people bring you out. Bitch, you know we got that power, and you know we not no cowards. Oh, you on that bullshit? Well, I'm on it too. Oh, you think I'm bullshitting? Wait till I get with ya. If I gotta go to ground, I'ma shut the town down. I ain't about to stop until I hear stand down. All you gonna see is a lot of man down. You dealing with the men of war. We at war. I sided with the Lord, of course, on one accord. We ain't never stopping now. You running now. All my niggas go to ground. We go to ground. You dealing with the men of war. We at war. I sided with the Lord, of course. ground.
As I live, if I live, let me make one thing clear. The Lord is the only man I fear.
We are not the same. No, we not related. I'm not stuck on living. Death is a vacation. My camp undefeated. You cannot debate it. You just want the clout.
The
We just want the greatest.
54th
I'm just trying to
annual Passover, April the 1st, is coming down to Raleigh, North Carolina. That's right. Commander General Yohana has done it again. You don't want to miss this. Pull yourself! Pull yourself!
Shalom, Israel. And when I mean Israel, I'm talking about the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. The Lord's 54th annual Passover is going down again this year, sundown, April 1st at 500 South Salisbury Street in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Downtown Conventional Center. It's got enough room for all of us. The Lord's 54th annual Passover. Last year, brothers and sisters showed up from all over the world, rocking ancient garments and glorious apparel in order to serve the Most High in Christ. Now, it's that time again. Commander General Yohana's putting out the decree for all brothers and sisters to show up sundown, April 1st in Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us at the Sheridan in Raleigh, the hotel right downtown. It's at 421 South Salisbury. The Passover is right up the block at the Convention Center, literally within walking distance. Make sure you pull up. Make sure that you do your due diligence because rooms are going fast and they are limited this weekend. You understand? We have months in advance of preparation. Do not wait till the last minute to get your room. The Lord's 54th annual Passover, Saturday, April 1st in Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us there.
It's about time, sending curses to them enemies.
Hey, mic check, 1 second, Salaki.
1 second. Bear with me, Salakia. Salakia, bear with me just 1 second. We're gonna make sure all the audios and videos together. All right. Bear with me. All right. Shalom, Israel. Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Brakathon to all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh Shemalathon Bashir Yahshua to all the sisters. This is the ISUPK, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. This is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class. We'll go ahead and clap it up for the Lord. Damn right. It's the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class where we teach Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans their culture from a linguistics perspective. All right. So we already know that the Bible is only pertaining to Israelites, which is only Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But Friday night, Lashawan Qadash class is for us to be able to gain our language and our culture and be able to speak to one another and get this oppressive language out of our mouths. That's the entire purpose. So we do this every Friday from 7 to 9, right? So that we can take back our culture, because, you know what I'm saying, we already know that the oppressor is the damn devil the Bible speaks of, and they're not going to give us back our culture. So the only way we're going to get our culture back is by taking it back. That's right. So that's what we're doing here. We're not taking up arms like all these other groups. We're not taking up, you know what I'm saying, we're not going to, you know what I'm saying, we're not smacking up our oppressor. We're not doing all these violent things, right? That, you know what I'm saying, all these other organizations, you know what I'm saying, would have you believe that that's the only way that you can do it. We're doing it by taking back our culture, by speaking our language, reading these scriptures, and getting the truth, right? Right. The scriptures say, "Let the Most High be true and every man a liar." So if you know that if you read these scriptures and understand that this culture only belongs to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, then who can contest that? Because the truth is there. And the truth is in the scriptures. So that's why the scriptures say, let every man, let the scriptures, let the Most High be true and every man a liar, right? That's why we do this. And once you have your culture, then nobody can contest it, right? So we'll get right into it. We're not going to waste no time. We usually start with the alphabet, right? So we're going to do that like we do pretty much every week, right? So we got A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Cha, Ta, Ya, Ka, La, Ma, Na, Sa, I, Pa, Ta, Za, Kwa, Ra, Sha, and Tha, right? If you know what I'm saying, we've been doing these Lashawan Qadash classes worldwide since 1969. We've been doing it in Killeen for quite some time. So at this point, we should have at least the Lashawan Qadash alphabet down pat to where we could just say it offhand. We don't have to look at any, we don't even have to use our notes. You know what I'm saying? If you got to use your notes, it's a lot, yeah. If you got to use your notes, that's fine. But you want to get to the point where you don't have to use your notes. Just say it off the top of your head. And you know what I'm saying? Just be able to know the Lashawan Qadash alphabet from A to Tha. So if you don't know that, you know what I'm saying, I've been saying for the past couple weeks in Lashawan Qadash class, if you don't know, just practice. Practice, practice, practice. And it's very easy. All you got to do is put in the work. All right. So last week we kind of went into, we finished the cheat sheet for the Lashawan Qadash, right? So we talked about the prepositions, the possessives, the finding the, the 4 steps that you need to be able to read the Lashawan Qadash. So you got find your root word, find your possessives that come before the root word, find your prepositions that come before the root word, find your possessives that come after the root word, and then identify any tenses that might come in the middle of a root word, might come at the end of a root word, it might come, whatever the case is. But just keep an eye out for those things. All right. So we talked about those things. We talked about servile tense last week. We talked about we talked about a whole lot, right, in that cheat sheet. So Lord willing, over these past 2 weeks that we was working on that cheat sheet, Lord willing, brothers and sisters have that so that we can reference that and move forward and retain some information. That's the whole goal, right? To be able to retain the information that you're taught. All right. So with that being said, if you got any Lashawan Qadash related questions, put them in the chat, or if you're in class physically, go ahead and raise your hand. Don't be shy. You know what I'm saying? This is Friday night is the time to get your Lashawan Qadash related questions answered, right? And that's what we're going to go over tonight, right? How to get your questions answered, because a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like, not to be, well, a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, when brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, coming to truth, we just learning that this is our culture. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us, you know what I'm saying, some brothers who's familiar with the Bible, some are familiar with whole different cultures that they was indulging in. But once you find out that this is your culture, then you want to dive head first into it. But, you know what I'm saying, you've been so out of the loop with your culture, it's like you gotta, like the scriptures say, you need milk, right? Before you can understand the depth of your culture. So it can be kind of intimidating being surrounded by these mighty men who are, you know what I'm saying, the depth of their culture, and it can kind of discourage us a little bit, right? But, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't have to be that way. All you got to do is just ask questions. Just ask questions. And that's how you can get your culture. So we're going to start from, you know what I'm saying, and that's why it's so important to have a cheat sheet. So I pray brothers and sisters got that. If you don't, you know what I'm saying, you can go back and look at past classes so you can have that, but it's very important to have. All right. But nonetheless, if you got any Lashawan Qadash related questions, whether you're familiar with it or you're not, whether it's your first time being in Lashawan Qadash class or you're 100, don't even worry about it. Just ask your question. Just ask the question. All right. And we're going to find out how to ask these questions. So we're going to add something. We're going to go over something before we go into the lesson. Right. We're going to go into something before we go into the lesson, and then we're going to compound from there. Right. So you could add these things, this what we're about to go over, into your cheat sheet. You could, you don't necessarily have to, but it's, you know what I'm saying, it's up to you. As a matter of fact, I would advise brothers and sisters to add this to your cheat sheet, right? Because this is going to be the foundation of how we communicate. We went over this in past classes that usually when you're communicating with one another, it's compounded off of questions. The first thing when you see a brother, right, or you see a sister, you say, Shalom, how you doing? What's good? Or you see a brother or your family, or whatever the case is, you say, Shalom, how you doing? It's a question. What's good? It's a question. You know what I'm saying? What's up? Well, you know what I'm saying? What's going down? Whatever, K-Passon, whatever language you speak, right? It's a question, right? So,
Yeah, that's it.
Right, what's that?
What happened?
Yeah. Most High Christ. Most High Christ. No, Most High Christ. And them are brothers too, right? I'm right. Well, we like most times when we communicating with each other, it starts off with a question, right? So, with that being said, how do you ask a question? All right. So, questions start with who, what, when, where, and why. All right, that's how questions start off, or that's how conversations start. Who are you? What are you doing? When you such and such? Where are you going such and such? Why you such and such? How? Right? So we're gonna talk about that because we want to start talking to one another. That's the whole point of us doing this Lashawan Qadash class, so we could talk to one another. So we went over it in the past class, right? So this should be a little bit of review, right? So as we go over this thing, we're gonna go over who, what, when, where, and why, and we're gonna stem from there. All right. So if you participating online, if you're in class online, just put it in the chat. What's going down, Bruce? In my bag, I don't think so. I might have one in the car though. Definitely one in the car though. In that middle slot. Let it go. I gotta get some pins for class. You want to run out there, or you
It's in the middle.
Yeah, it should be in that middle console or in the side slot. But if you took notes from previous classes, I would advise you to go to that section wherever you took those notes. If you remember, and look at that section where we talked about who, what, when, where, and why. All right. So if you're watching online, you know what I'm saying, you can go and throw it in the chat if you remember. It doesn't matter if you remember all of them or some of them or, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case is. If you remember one of them, you know what I'm saying, just put it in the chat and let's see where we at with it, right? But that's how we're going to build sentences, right? Just knowing who, what, when, where, and why. All right. So I'm going to give y'all just a little bit of time online, right? Just a little bit of lag. Yeah, just a little second. We got and just remember too, if you got any of the resources, right, and you've been in class and you know how to use the resources, if you don't know right now, like off the top of your head, if whatever you need to review, you can just go into the resources. You know what I'm saying? Whether you got to use Bible Hub, Blue Letter Bible, 2-letter lookup, concordance, whatever you got to use, you can just use the resources to refresh your memory and get back up to speed. All right. And then, so we got who, what, when, where, why, or Salakia. Who, what, when, where, when, why. Oh, damn, Salakia. Salakia. Who, what, when, where, when, why, and then it's a bonus one, right? We went over it, but it's a little bit deeper, right? So we got how. All right. How, right? So we already know, right? Because we also had a lot of practice with this one, right? So we got what, right? Just start off with that, right? We had a whole lot of practice with this one. All right, let me see if there's anything in the chat. No participation in the chat. Yeah, you want to give it a shot first? Are you swallowing into? You busy right now? Or?
What is ma?
Right, most time correct. So we got ma for what? Turn it on.
Yeah.
No. Let's see. Yeah.
The Bluetooth is ready to pair.
That's it? That's what you want? Okay, most time. So we got ma for what, right? So we was talking about when we was talking about the nations, right? The different nations of the Bible. The first thing you want to know about a person to see whether they, you know what I'm saying, friend or foe, you know what I'm saying, whether that's your brother or not, your father, who is your father? So we know ma is what? Abba is father. So ma, Abba, and then you attach a possessive for, you got wa at the end for his father. You got ma Abba ha for her father. So ma Abba ha for who is her father, right? Ma Abba ka, who is your father. Ma Abba ya, who is my father. Right? We had a lot of practice with that. So, you know what I'm saying? So we got who, where, when, and why left over, right? So we got who, right? Remember what who is?
My
Say what?
my
Close. It start with a ma. My ya. Right. So who? My ya. What? Ma. When? Lucky. When? Ma. Ya. Where is a ya? And why? Why is pretty much the easiest one to remember because it's in the Hebrew. It's in the, or it's in the, it's the English is in the Hebrew.
It's my.
You said why is ma? Ma. Yeah, kind of. Ma da.
Why?
Right. Ma da why. Right. So you got who, my ya. And it will behoove you to, you know what I'm saying, keep this in your notes, in your cheat sheet, so that you can understand how to form sentences, or what's the, because this is going to be the base of how you form sentences when you communicate with your brothers. Right? So who, what, where, when, and why. My ya, who, maya, what, ma, where, ya, when, ma, the ya, and why, ma, the why. Now, how is one that's, it's interchangeable, because how is something that can be interchangeable. Like you got how long, or how far, where. How far and where is the same word. So you might, if you see how in the scriptures, you might see any of these words, right? So how far, how long, when, how come, why, right? And that's where this word is stemmed from. So how is Kamah. You want to give it a shot breaking it down? Or why is Kamah?
Because how
You see any root words?
ma.
Right.
Word
Ma is a root word meaning
what?
what? Right.
Ka mean you, right?
In what context?
At the end.
Right. As a possessive. So if it comes at the
Right.
end, it means you. If it comes at the beginning as a preposition, it means what?
As like.
Right. So
Like what? As
damn right. Damn right. Get that preacher hand. God damn. Get a supper hand. Exactly right. So how is stemmed off of the root word and the preposition, meaning like what? So how is, you're asking the question like what? Like how did you do that? You did that like what? Right? And knowing how to ask these questions, that's how you're going to pique your curiosity and pique your curiosity for understanding the vocabulary, right? Like in Spanish, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole lot of brothers who want to learn the language so that we can communicate with our brothers who also went through the same captivity we did.
right.
So when you're speaking Spanish, you say, if you're talking to somebody who's Spanish speaking, you say, "Cómo se dice," right? So that means, how do you say, right?
Right.
So how do you say this? And if you're adamant about learning their language so that you could communicate with them, you're constantly saying, "Cómo se dice this? Cómo se dice that?" Right? With any language, right? And that's what you want to do with the Hebrew. How do you say this? Right? Because the whole goal is for us to be able to speak our language to one another. That's the whole goal. So with that being said, you want to always be asking, how do you say this? How do you say this? How do you say this? So we're going to first ask the question, how do you say that in Hebrew? How do you say this in Hebrew?
That's the question.
That's the question. So we're going to build a sentence, right? So in the English, it's going to be how to say blank in Hebrew, right? That's the question, right? You got an answer online, you know what I'm saying? You could always put it in the chat. Always put it in the chat, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about the delay, or don't worry about when we get to you, you know what I'm saying? I know y'all sisters and brothers be enduring online, you know what I'm saying? It might be feel a little bit far from being in physical class, but don't be afraid to participate. So You just bust it down, phrase by phrase, right? Word by word, right? So, how, right? How do you say how? All right, we just talked about it.
Oh, it's like, you asking?
I'm just asking in general, but if you got an answer,
Oh,
you can always put it.
mine's out wide. I mean, my bad.
Go ahead. I appreciate the confidence, though.
Kamah.
You get that priest a hand. So, Kamah. Kamah. So we went over last week when we was going over the Leviticus 23, right? Leviticus 23 and 1 starts off with, and the Lord said to Moses, or let's go back to it just so everybody on the same page. Go to Blue Letter Bible or Bible Hub, right? And the linear. Then go to Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1. And the scripture will say, and the Lord spake to Moses, saying, right? Or something like that. Let me get to it real quick. You got it?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if I'm going too far ahead. The word say.
Right.
Okay, so you just say, that means speak, right? Would it be the same thing in Hebrew? I mean, like, would it be the same thing in Hebrew, say and speak?
Not quite, but it's in Leviticus. Okay. Leviticus 23. And that's a good question. Because it's like, because we brothers, you know what I'm saying? We I don't want to say, you know what I'm saying? We, you know what I'm saying? We brothers though. So right. when we speak on what you understand at that point. So if all you understand, if you just know how to say speak in the Lashawan Qadash, then that's fine, as long as you're using your language. Because if you say Kamah Dabar, how speak, and then you say, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna get to it. But if you just say Kamah Dabar, if you use the word Dabar, I'm going to understand the context and and why you're using that word. So I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? We're not like the oppressor, where we gonna, you know what I'm saying, beat you down for how you use their language. So I'm gonna know what you're saying if you say Dabar. Right. But if you want to be accurate, there's another word that you can use in Leviticus. Okay. And we gonna learn that tonight. You there? If you wanna okay. You wanna read it?
Leviticus, chapter 23, right?
Right, chapter 23 and verse 1. Let me see.
Okay.
You got it? My phone acting crazy.
I got it.
Okay, my phone crazy. But you can read it in the Hebrew, Bible Shah.
Okay. Well, Yadabar, Yahweh,
right?
La.
I think you read it back.
Allah. Al.
Right.
Mashaha, Shema, it's like Masha.
Right.
Masha. Lama.
La.
Ahmar.
Right. Damn right. So you got La Ahmar. So what does it say under La Ahmar? Right.
Say
saying, right?
Right.
So we're gonna break this down real quick. So la is okay. So even if you don't know the root word, you can recognize the preposition, right?
Right.
So la is a preposition here, meaning what?
To or from.
Right. So to. So that leaves this right here as a what?
As a root word.
Right. And that root word means say. So la Ahmar means to say. So Wayadabar Yahweh al Mashah la Ahmar means and he Yahweh, which is the Lord's name, Wayadabar Yahweh al to Mashah Moses la Ahmar to say. So Yahweh and spoke Yahweh. So basically, and Yahweh spoke to Moses to say. Right? So we're trying to say how to say, fill in any word here in Hebrew. So how would you say to say in the Lashawan Qadash?
To say.
Right.
La Ahmar.
Right. Right. So we got Muslim praise. Damn right. Kamah la Ahmar. Right. So how to say Kamah la Ahmar blank. Right. How do you say Hebrew in the lot? How do you say? What's our language called?
Oh, the Lashawan, the Lashawan, good night. Lashawan, Qadash.
Right. Qadash. It's lucky for the lack of space. If you're having a hard time seeing that online, I'm saying, well, you should know what the Lashawan Qadash is, right? So you don't have to zoom into. Right. So Kamala Amor, such and such, Lashawan Qadash. How do you say in the Lashawan Qadash?
In the.
Right.
It'll be Baha.
Damn right. Hell yeah. So,
Baha Qadash.
Baha Lashawan Qadash. Right. So Kamah la Amar Baha Lashawan Qadash. So we should get familiar with saying this word. This should be at the top of your cheat sheet, right? So Kamah la Amar blank, whatever you want to learn how to say, and you could say this in English, right? So how do you say Kamah la Salakia? Kamah la Amar door Salakia. I can't write in English. Door. Kamah la Amar door Baha Lashawan Qadash. What am I asking? What am I asking?
You're asking me how to say door in Hebrew. Right.
And you would respond.
I respond okay. The response would be I don't know how to answer it.
Okay, so you would say, well, how would you answer it in English? In just English. You don't have to use any Hebrew words.
I would say the law. I would say, I would say, how you say,
in a complete sentence, just for the sake of learning.
Oh, like how do I answer? Like the answer for the sentence?
Right.
I would say my.
Okay, no sweat, no sweat. In the English, if you want to, no matter what you got in this blank. So you're asking in English. Okay, say we're having a conversation in English. How do you, I'm asking you, right? How do you say door in Hebrew?
The law.
You just, okay, yeah, we we in a complete sentence. Nice. Because we are very simple. So we just gonna be like, hey, look, the lie. That's how you say it. We just gonna give you the simple answer. But in a complete sentence, right? So you would say, okay, so I would ask you, how do you say door in Hebrew? You would respond, you say door in Hebrew like this.
Oh.
And then, or you say, or the la is door in Hebrew.
I would say the la is door in.
Or you say such and such. Okay.
I thought an example.
Okay, no sweat. So you got the English question is gonna be in red just to keep it like so we can, because we just gonna be filling in the blanks, right? So how do you say what you would say in English is how do you say, but in Hebrew is simple. So how to say such and such in Hebrew. How to say door in Hebrew.
Right.
Door. Right? And then you will respond. You say blank, right? In Hebrew.
Okay. Okay.
Such and such.
Okay, so I would say you say, so I would say Ahmar.
Close. Now we talked about it earlier as a possessive. So if we're talking about somebody, this is how you remember the difference between possessives, which come at the end, and prepositions, which come before. Possessives usually are, or possessives, no matter what it is, if you look at this whole list, it's talking about a person.
Okay.
So if you're talking about a person, it's going to come at the end. Prepositions are giving you context about the root word. That's the best way I can explain it. So if you're talking about a person, so if you're saying you say,
Right.
that's going to come at the end.
Okay.
So with that means it's going to come after the root word. So we know that the root word is for say.
Is Ahmar.
Right. So more. And then we're going to add
Ka.
right. Ka. Amarka, you say Amarka, and what insert English word here, right? Amarka door, right? In Hebrew.
It'll be Ba Lashawan Qadash.
Say that again.
It'll be Ba Hebrew. Sorry. Baha Lashawan Qadash.
Right.
That live.
Lashawan, damn right.
Okay.
Qadash. Markador Baha Lashawan Qadash. The la. Now we speak in Hebrew. We speak in Hebrew. And that's what we're gonna have to practice. Just how to say such and such in Hebrew. Kamah la'amar, insert word, baha Lashawan Qadash. Right? Or the word in Hebrew, the word Hebrew come from the word ibar, or Eber in the scriptures, in the English. Ibar means past. So that's where Hebrew comes from, past, right? But the language is called the Holy Tongue, the Lashawan Qadash, right? So if you want to abbreviate, you could say Ibar, Kamah la'amar, Dalat Baha Ibar. Or Kamah la'amar, because we already understand Lashawan Qadash is the Hebrew. Kamah la'amar, Dalat Baha Lashawan Qadash. But the whole goal is for us to be able to talk to each other in the Lashawan Qadash, so that we can get this oppressor's language out of our mouths. It's cool to take notes. It's cool to write it all down and take notes and all of that. But if we're not saying it, if we're not speaking it to one another constantly, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, most of us in high school, right? I know most of us in high school, we probably took some sort of foreign language in high school. I guarantee most brothers and sisters who took that foreign language in high school couldn't even hold a full conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because we lost it. If you don't speak it, if you're not using it, even people who were fluent at one point, if you end up in a position where you're not speaking that language constantly, then you're probably going to lose that language. Right? It's some, well, I don't want to get personal, but that's just what's going to happen if you're not using it. But this is our language, so we can't afford to lose this language, right? So what we want to start doing is using what we know and trying to compound on something that we don't know. And this is how we're going to do it. How to say such and such in Hebrew. Just ask. Like Jeremiah said, like the priest brought out in the last class. Ask for the old past and seek the old way, which is good. Right? Ask for the old past. Sha'al, which means demand, right? Demand the old past. But if you're not asking how to say in Hebrew, you're not going to get it. And your oppressor is going to continue to claim your culture in another country and bastardize your land that the Most High gave to you as a holy land. And bastardize your culture that the Most High gave to you, and your language that the Most High gave to you, and your customs that the Most High gave to you. If you're not just simply asking, Kamah la'amar, Dalat Baha Lashawan Qadash. It's that simple, but if we don't do it, then the oppressor is going to continue to take and steal our country and turn our land and our culture into some sort of goddamn circus show. Right? So that's the whole point. So, Kamah la'amar blank Baha Lashawan Qadash. It's going to be the most important question that you can ask in Lashawan Qadash class. Right? So, all right, so we got it. How to say door in Hebrew. Kamah la'amar. Right? And once you got this, then you can respond, right? So you say Amarka right? Amarka Dor Baha Lashawan Qadash Dala. Right? So I'm gonna ask another question, right? We just gonna bear with me. So Kamah la'amar. Kamah la'amar hand Baha Lashawan Qadash. the question. If anybody got it online or in the chat, just put it in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about being late. Just put it in the chat. Just participate. Just make sure you're being involved. All right? You're not going to learn the Lashawan Qadash by not being involved. All right? You got an answer?
Oh, yeah, I got an answer.
Baha Lashawan Qadash, Baba Kasha. Go ahead, Free.
Okay. Ahmar ka hand bahashim. It's like good night. Ahmar ka hand baha Lashawan. Good night. Lashawan Qadash yad.
Damn right. Give yourself a yard. Hell yeah. So the question is, Kamala Ahmar hand Baha Lashawan Qadash. The answer is, Ahmar ka hand Baha Lashawan Qadash yad. Yad. That's how you learn in Hebrew. All right, I'm gonna ask another question. Kamala Ahmar sword Baha Lashawan Qadash. Baba Kasha.
Like if I could.
Go ahead, please.
Want me to go and answer?
Yeah, go ahead. If you had a question?
No, I want to answer. I don't know if you want to let it breathe real quick or you want me to go and do it.
Let's see. I ain't seen no participation online. Go ahead. Handle your business, priest.
Okay. Ahmar ka sword Baha Lashawan Qadash Kara.
Damn right. Hell yeah. Give yourself a hand. Yeah, just okay. If it's killing you, say it over and over. Right. I understand why you want to say that. 1 second. I understand why you want to say that. So what you should do is just say Lashawan Qadash. Lashawan Qadash. Lashawan Qadash. Lashawan Qadash. Say it over and over until it's like butter. Till it's like butter. Right? So that's why we're doing this. This is going to be a repetitive class. But it's going to be good. Because now you know how to ask the question that you need to know. Kamala Ahmar shoe or so, whatever the case is. Kamala Ahmar foot Baha Lashawan Qadash. Right? Kamala Ahmar Baha Lashawan Qadash. 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 Right? And eventually, if you keep on practicing that and saying that, then it's going to become just like how we say the water or how we said the salute. Yahbashim Yahushua Barakatah. I remember brothers as troopers, you know what I'm saying? You might have had to look at that salute over and over again and just read it, just say it to yourself over and over again. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Barakatah. You know what I'm saying? I heard one brother say that it was doing a Macarena to try to remember the salute. Right? Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Barakatah. This is what brothers do when you first come into the truth to, you know what I'm saying, try to learn the salute. And that took so much zeal and so much persistence to do that. But once we learn that salute, that zeal goes away.
Right.
For the language, for our customs, for our language, that zeal goes away. Once you able to just be like, hey, that zeal goes away. And you just drop Hebrew from there. You drop the Lashawan Qadash from there. As soon as you can say, boom, you through with the Hebrew. That's not it, man. That's not what the Lord intended for us, man. He said, find the old path, ask for the old path. Sha'al Hazakwan Darat. demand the old paths, right? Sha'al Hazakwan Darak. Hazakwan, the old. Path is Darak or road. Sha'al Hazakwan Darak. Ask for the old paths. But once we get a little bit of our culture back, then we stop asking for the old paths. We stop asking for the old paths. And that's not the spirit of the Lord. That's not the spirit that he put on us. We are persistent people. We are persistent people. So we gotta be persistent in this captivity to get our culture back. All right, so we got Kamah Ahmar by Lashawan Qadash. How to say blank in the Hebrew. Kamah Ahmar by Lashawan Qadash. Kamah Ahmar by Lashawan Qadash. Right. So ask me a question, right? Now we're gonna flip it. Yeah, you can just pick anything. You can just pick anything. We just gonna have a conversation, right? If I could. If you don't mind. And if you're online, Salaki, I'm gonna give you a second. If you're online, right? If you're online, put a question in the chat in the Lashawan Qadash. Put it in the chat. It's real easy. It's already on the board. It's a layup. It's a layup to participate. So the question's already on the board. Kamah Ahmar, insert any word by Lashawan Qadash. Let's see how curious we are about our culture. All right. All right, go ahead. Do your thing, Chris.
All right. Kamah Ahmar, hand by Lashawan Qadash.
Okay. I appreciate the participation. You gonna use the same word though?
Okay.
Okay, no.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, any question. Any word.
All right. Kamah Ahmar, hair by Lashawan Qadash.
Most High Christ. Get that priest a hand. Give us a hand. Damn right. All right. So the answer would be Amarka, hair by Lashawan Qadash. You write it on the board, Salaki. Okay, so in the English, so what did you said in the Hebrew? Kamah Ahmar, hair by Lashawan Qadash. In the English is how to say, just to review, how to say hair in the Hebrew. All right. So the answer would be you say hair in Hebrew. You remember the word for hair? Okay, no, sir. Sha'ir. Okay. Sha'ir. You remember that, just to review real quick. You remember that because it's not the same thing? Yeah. You just put an S in front of hair. Oh, okay. Right. That's just how you remember. All right. So Sha'ir is hair. Okay. So to answer your question, you mind Baba Kashai, or you're right. Okay, so
Amarka, hair by Lashawan Qadash. Sha'ir.
Right. Damn right. So the question is, Kamah Ahmar, hair by Lashawan Qadash. The answer is Amarka, hair by Lashawan Qadash, Sha'ir. All right, you get the point, right? So Amarka, hair by Lashawan Qadash, Sha'ir. All right. And just like the priest said earlier, right? Because I asked the question and he went right to the source. I said, Kamah Ahmar, what I say? What was the first thing we said? Kamah Ahmar door. You're right. Kamah Ahmar Dor Baha Lashawan Qadash. And he just said, Dala. Boom, shalom. That's it. That's your answer. Right? You know what I'm saying? That's how we speak with one another. So 9 times out of 10, if you ask, you know what I'm saying, if you ask your camp leader, if you ask culinary instructor, or not Salaki, if you ask a Lashawan Qadash instructor, Salaki, I'm in a whole different field. If you ask a Lashawan Qadash instructor, Salakia. You ask a Lashawan Qadash instructor, or you ask your the head of the Lashawan Qadash in your zone, they're just 9 times out of 10, they're gonna answer you with the word you're looking for. Right? So you go up to the Lashawan Qadash scholar in your zone, right? You know what I'm saying? And you just ask them, Kamah La Ahmar Dor Baha Lashawan Qadash. First of all, that might turn some heads, right? They might be surprised, right? Because we so used to communicating with one another in the English, right? So if you go up to somebody who speaks the Lashawan Qadash and you just say that, Kamah La Ahmar Dor Baha Lashawan Qadash, they're gonna look at you like, okay, I see you've been putting in the work. But they 9 times out of 10 gonna answer you in one word. Okay. Dala. That's how you say it. Dala. And that's how it is in any language. If you're trying to learn Spanish and you get around your brothers, your Spanish speaking brothers, and you say, ¿Cómo se dice door en la español? Right? You do that, and they're just gonna be like, I don't know how to say door. How you say door in Spanish? They're just gonna tell you the word though. Like, ¿Cómo se dice bread en español? They're gonna be like, pan. They're not gonna do the dice bread en español. They're not gonna do the whole sentence, but for the sake of practice, it's just good to build our vocabulary by getting used, seeing new words and how sentences are formed, and B, building our vocabulary. So that's the whole purpose. But in practical usage, you would just respond one word like the priest said in the beginning of the class. All right. So let me think. Is there anything else? Let me see. All right. So let me give you a little homework, right? And we kind of drilled this down. So we kind of drilled this down, right? So that being said, just a little homework before we salute out. So what I want brothers and sisters to do at home, get here, think about what you want to say in the Lashawan Qadash and ask how to say it. Right? So you know how to say it. You know how to ask the question. Kamah La Ahmar, fill in the blank, whatever you want to say, Baha Lashawan Qadash. And if you want to double down on it, you can try to answer your own question, right? Using the sentence structure. So Amarka, fill in the blank, Baha Lashawan Qadash. And then to get the answer, you would have to go into the resources that we have, right? So you'll have to go into the concordance. You'll have to go into a Bible Hub. You'll have to go into the Blue Letter Bible. You would have to go into 2-letter lookup. You would have to search. You would have to do what's that? You mind getting that scripture in Jeremiah 6? I believe it's in 16. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 6. I think that's what it is. Let me double check. But you would have to go and dig. You would have to seek the old way. You would have to search for the old paths. I'll get there. Let me see if Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 6. 16, verse 6. It might be 6, verse 16. Yep. Salakia. Jeremiah 6, verse 16. Salakia. Whenever you got it, you go ahead.
Okay.
You looking at the English or the Hebrew? You looking at the English or the Hebrew?
English.
Okay, most times correct. No, it's
Kamah, Ahmar.
Are you looking at the Hebrew now? Oh snap!
You going?
I mean, if you want to read it in the Lashawan Qadash, most times correct.
Okay.
Or actually select it because we kind of get down on the time.
All right. Okay.
You go. You go ahead and get it in English. Let me see.
All right. This book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 16. Thus said the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old path.
Right.
Where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls.
Right. Baba Kashai, read that from the top again.
Thus said the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord. Thus saith your mom. Thus saith your mom.
Thus said the Lord.
Thus saith your daddy.
Thus said the Lord.
Now, thus saith men.
Thus said the Lord.
This is what the Lord is telling you to do. Keep going.
Stand ye in the ways.
Right?
And
the
see.
ways. So there's many different directions that you could go. There's many different ways that you could go. Right? You can go to college. You could be a college dropout. You could be in the streets. You can go to jail. So many different ways that you could go in. So stand ye in the ways and do what?
And see.
And see. So see all these ways. And after you observe and see all these ways that you can go into, choose this way. Go ahead, read on.
And ask for the old paths.
And ask for the old paths. Right? That's what Hebrew means. It means past. What we did in the past, before captivity, before we disobeyed the Most High, before we tried to deviate from what the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave us said, before we deviated from our culture. Ask for the old way. Go ahead, read on.
Where is the good way?
Where is the what?
Good way.
The old way is the good way. Everybody like to look at the Bible and be like, oh, that was back in the day. That's why the Christian church is so destroyed. Because they look at the Bible and they're like, oh, that was back in the day. That was back in the day. Thou shalt not murder, you know what I'm saying? Thou shalt not kill, you know what I'm saying? All of those laws, statutes, and commandments that was in the Bible, they wave it off and they just like, oh, that was so old. That's old. Why are you so serious? That was just so long ago. That's so old. That's what they do. Because they're not considering that the Most High said, ask for the old path. And he called it the good way. Or the old way, which is good. And then what? Go ahead, read on.
And walk therein.
And walk therein. So after you ask for the old path and you get your answer, walk therein. So once you get the understanding of what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, once you get the correction from the priests and prophets in the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge, the home of the truth, you should walk in those ways. That's what you should do. Because that way is good. What's the opposite of good? It's bad. Destruction. It's like you go ahead, read on.
And ye shall find rest for your souls.
You shall find what?
Rest for your souls.
Nah, you're gonna have anxiety.
Rest for your souls.
Nah, you're gonna need a cigarette after you follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. What does that say?
Rest for your souls.
Nah, you're gonna become an alcoholic.
Rest for your souls.
You're gonna find rest for your souls by following these laws, statutes, and commandments and asking for the old path, which is the good way. That is the answer. That's how you're gonna find rest for your soul. That cigarette that you smoking ain't rest for your soul. That blunt that you smoking ain't rest for your soul. Rest for your soul is following these laws, statutes, and commandments and getting into the ISUPK under Commandant General Yohanan. Doing your 90 days, getting you a flyer, getting into these doors, man, and getting rest for your soul. And you're only gonna get that by following the old way. All right. But with that, you know what I'm saying? Remember that homework, you know what I'm saying? Just practice using this sentence and forming your own questions so that next Lashawan Qadash class, we can get some of those questions answered. And by getting those questions answered, we're going to build our vocabulary and we're going to learn how to use these resources. Right? But let's keep that in mind. With that, we're going to get on up out of here. Shalom Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Barakathum to all the brothers. And Shalom Yahweh Shemalatham Bashim Yahshua to all the sisters.